to tell you about this call, to tell you about this opportunity, because this really is the type of opportunity that can change everything for you. You know, there are some theories out there that speak to the way in which generational patterns go through and affect one generation to the next, even when you're not specifically dealing with it. So if you come from a community, if you come from a family, if you come from a city where everyone didn't have the opportunity to talk about some of those financial variables we discussed, where you have an opportunity now to be able to put yourself on the other side of wealth and abundance, this is the vehicle that can do it. And the beauty of the way in which we have this set up is IML is an educational platform. It is an educational platform. It is put together to teach you a skill that you can use for the rest of your life. Mr. Rogers on the last call made a comment about how the fact that we're doing overnight what banks do with our money every single day. And that is a very accurate statement. And thus, that's the reason why this moniker of BYOB, be your own bank for life, is so important, because we have the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to learn a skill that allows us to control the infrastructure of not only our households, but those households that we come in contact with. So I say two things to you. Number one, guests, I wish you a hearty welcome. Number two, let me very briefly tell the guests why it took me 13 minutes to say yes to this opportunity after hearing about it. So I went to Howard University for undergrad, and I went to University of Florida for graduate school, and I graduated with my PhD in finance at age 26. I had many goals at that time, but one of my biggest goals was to invest in the foreign exchange market. So 10 years went by. What did I do during those 10 years? I convinced myself that I had to prepare. I had to plan. I had to get myself together. I had to do my due diligence. We have a business partner that always says, sometimes it's better to be ignorant and on fire than prepared and on ice. Well, I definitely put myself on ice. And for 10 years, I did my due diligence. And then I came up with a group of individuals. We created what I called a mastermind group. We put together a business plan for us to do investing in foreign exchange. And the first thing we did was we identified a broker. That broker said to us that in order for us to invest in this market, it was going to cost $1 million. We had to have a minimum balance in our account of $1 million. So if you're doing the math, you're paying attention to this short snippet of why IML is the place to be, that meant it would cost me $1 million, and it took me 10 years. The first thing I did when I joined IML was I vetted out IML Academy. IML Academy is the actual crux of the educational program. It's where we have videos that are all very short in nature, very chewable, very digestible, where you can learn all the components of everything that we're talking about here tonight. You learn different parts of currency exchange, foreign exchange. You learn different parts of cryptocurrency. You understand the way in which the strategies work. It's very comprehensive. So I posed this question to myself. If I shared this vehicle with someone and they had no knowledge whatsoever of foreign exchange, how long would it take them to be able to master this? And the answer that I came up with was 10 total hours. Now, I know the issue of how much it costs came up, and like Tasha Dyer said, we will go into detail later, but let me just say this. To start, it's $250. Let's do another math problem. It cost me $1 million and 10 years. You can do it for $250 and 10 hours. This opportunity is incredible. I sometimes wake up very excited when I think about the fact that I am a business partner of IML. Yes, I'm excited because I have the opportunity to be able to have a very user-friendly modality in order to invest in foreign exchange and cryptocurrency. But what really excites me is that for the first time in my professional life, I can do more than just talk about it. I can do more than just try to shift mindsets. I can do more than just teach someone a principle or teach them a technique. Now I can say, here, take this vehicle, change your life, feed your family, do for your family, teach your family a new way of wealth and abundance, and put yourself in another generational mindset. That, to me, is exciting. So guests, know that, again, you have been blessed because someone loved you enough to share with you this situation. Now, I know that I said I was going to talk about taxes tonight, and I am. But something that I said earlier motivates me to want to share a quick story. One of the things that I've said tonight, and I've also said it other nights, and by the way, let me pause myself and say this. If anyone has a question, please unmute or put it in the chat. Tasha, please help me to monitor the chat. So bottom line is this. I speak so much to the fact that this vehicle is more than just a way to make money. It literally is a way to change generational patterns, and that's big to me. So it occurred to me that one way for me to try to convince you on how important this is to give you some validation on how real generational patterns are. A study was done by a Harvard research team. And what they did was they looked at mice. They looked at mice, laboratory mice. And what they did was they initiated a smell. They initiated an actual cherry blossom. And they put a cherry blossom in the cage with a mouse. And then when they would approach the cherry blossom, when they get close to it, they'd shock them. So they did this for a number of years with these laboratory mice. Then they stopped. Those mice had children. Then the mice's children had children. So if you're following me, I'm talking about the grandchildren of the mice that participated in the cherry blossom experiment. Every time those mice were introduced with the smell of cherry blossom, not the cherry blossom themselves, just the smell, their bodies began reacting and their bodies began convulsing as if they were being shocked. Now, if you have any doubt about whether or not some of the generational patterns that have occurred in our families that we don't even have any knowledge of could be keeping us from what God has in store for us, then it's true. This study is just one of the many examples I could give you. So we're at a point right now where we can change everything. We can literally make the smell of cherry blossoms mean something different to our children and to our children's children, because they will know how to invest in foreign exchange. So guess, if at any point tonight you said to yourself, oh man, this is too much. Oh man, this is overwhelming. That's just a drop in the bucket. It's not about that. It's about the fact that you now have an opportunity to change the paradigm for your children's children's children. This is big. This is huge. One of the things that I always say is that this foreign exchange thing is important. It's a great skill, but it represents a slice of the economic pie. I really liked when Pastor Bird answered that question and he went into the crypto analyzer and he began to show you all of the different forms. I'm willing to bet there were a couple of items you may not have understood or you may not have been exposed to, and that's fine. What's important there is that I'm making the point that there's so many levels to the financial situation. Just one I'll just pull out, he mentioned the federal funds rate. What's the federal funds rate? That's the rate that banks charge each other when they loan to each other. Yes, you might get charged a certain amount by your bank, but if you loan money to your sister, you're not going to do the same thing to them. So that's what banks do. We want to be our own bank, so we want to understand what the federal funds rate is. My point is this. My point is not about the federal funds rate. My point is that there is a value in us understanding the entire economic pie. Because think about it. as we begin to increase our wealth through this foreign exchange and cryptocurrency model, we now are going to have wealth that we have to manage, and wealth that we have to transfer, and wealth that we have to distribute. So part of a talk with the finance doctor is every once in a while, I'm going to go beyond the actual cryptocurrency foreign exchange piece and talk about other parts of the pie. So that is the reason why tonight we're going to talk about taxes. Again, any foreign exchange question, any cryptocurrency question you have, that comes first. You stop me, I'll address that. But I want to spend this time period talking about another component of the economic pie, taxes. Now, I made the analogy on Tuesday that we hire someone to mow our lawn. We're capable of mowing our own lawn, but they're specialists. Plus, we don't want to go out there and do that. That's okay. So we work hard. We've earned the right to be able to pay someone to mow our lawn, but you always go out there and look. You always make sure the grass is trimmed. And if they do it in a way that does not meet your specifications, you let them know. I'm using this analogy because I think we should be just as aggressive when it comes to our taxes. And right now, we're not. What we do with our taxes is this. We give it to someone else and we look away. We give the taxes to someone else and we look away. So let me make this point again. If someone does your taxes and they make a mistake, that person is not liable for the mistake. You are. So it makes sense for you to be able to look out the window and see if they're trimming your grass correctly. So what I'm going to do right now, give me 7 minutes. 7 minutes from now, you will know how to do your taxes. Am I telling you have to do your taxes? Of course not. I'm telling you, you need to know how to do them. So this is what I'd like for you to do. If you're in an environment where you can take out a piece of paper, I want you to take out a piece of paper. I know we like to put things in our notes, but this will just be a little bit easier if you take out a piece of paper and write this very easy, very quick diagram. I'm going to give you a picture. It's worth 1,000 words. So this is just going to help you. So what I'd like you to do with that big piece of paper at the top is write taxes, T-A-X-E-X. In 7 minutes and 33 seconds, you will know how to do your taxes. Now, at the top of the paper, I want you to write a big circle. And in that big circle, I want you to put an E. E stands for everything. This is what the government wants you to make taxable, everything. That's all you need is that E. We don't have to go in and talk about all the things that are there. We're going to discuss big picture so that when you look at your actual tax form, it'll be simple. If you know what you're doing, you will always have a job. If you know why you're doing it, you will always be the boss. I'm going to teach you the why of taxes so that you will know what's going on. Now, underneath that circle that has everything in it, what do you mean everything? Everything you earn. Anything you possibly could earn goes in that circle. Am I telling you to put everything in that circle? No. I'm telling you that the government wants you to put everything in that circle. Now, from that circle, I want you to draw 3 small lines coming out of the circle. So 1 line, 2nd line, 3rd line. Now, on top of those 3 lines, I want you to write the word subtractions. Subtractions. And just to set you up so your notes look good and are organized, underneath each one of those lines, I'm about to ask you to write something else. So 3 lines, and in between the 3 lines, write the word subtractions. Subtractions is the word that's going to represent all 3 lines. Big circle, everything. 3 lines, subtractions. Now, here we go. The first subtraction is called an adjustment. Write the word adjustment underneath the first line. The first subtraction is called an adjustment. This is really easy because an adjustment is about a list. You look at the list. If there's something on that list you did, subtract it. If there isn't, don't subtract it. Let me give you an example. My adjusted gross income is the same as my gross income. The big circle is called gross income. The list is called adjustments. So adjusted gross income is what I have when I make the subtractions. You know, the government tries to make it hard. If you go to irs.gov, it will say on the actual tax form, or say on the actual website, The IRS makes the tax code difficult on purpose. They do that so you won't master it. I'm about to make it easy. First, subtraction, adjustment. Very simple. If you have something on that list that you did, subtract it. If you don't subtract it. We're almost done. Second subtraction. Write down the word underneath the second line, exemption. Exemption. The first subtraction is called an adjustment. The second subtraction is called an exemption. Exemptions are really simple. Exemptions are about people. Exemptions are about people. Adjustments are about the list. Exemptions are about the people. An adjustment is about the list. An exemption is about the people. What do you mean, finance doctor? Well, the government looks at it like this. The more people you have to take care of, the more of your money the government wants you to have. The more people you have to take care of, the more the government wants you to have your money. So the more people you're responsible for, the more of your money you subtract. So exemptions are about people, adjustments are about a list. Now hear me. This short conversation that we just had, this just takes up 66% of the tax form. I guarantee you, if we pulled out a tax form, we went through it, it would be adjustments and exemptions. 66% of it. So we're almost done. The third subtraction is called a deduction. Deduction. Now, after you write the word deduction, I want you to take two little arrows underneath deduction. So you got one arrow going this way, one arrow going that way. You know why? Because there are two types of deductions. Adjustment. Look at the list. You did something on the list, subtract it. Exemptions. The more people you're responsible for, the more you subtract. And there's no need of us going any deeper because the form or the software, whatever you use, will tell you how much to subtract for each person that you're responsible for. That's the easy part. This part of us understanding it, that's what we're doing tonight. So the third subtraction is a deduction. Two types. First type of deduction is called standard. Standard means anybody can do it. You don't have to do any work. You don't have to do any calculations. If you just come to the table and say, I'm doing my taxes, you can subtract what the standard deduction is. Now hear me. The federal government makes the standard deduction high on purpose. Why? Because if the standard deduction is high, then certain people will now serve as a disincentive to master the second type of deduction. The second type of deduction is called itemized. Itemized. Item per item, individually. That means you hear somebody say, it's a tax write-off. I can just deduct that. That's all it is. It's a list of all the deductions, all the things that you deduct. Well, what about, he's not teaching us this. He's not telling us what to deduct. That part's easy. Once you understand the logic, if you Google, what can I deduct? You'll have a million hits. That's easy. What we're doing now is understanding the big picture of the way in which the tax form is set up. So you're done. All your money, subtract it. Adjustments, look at the list. Exemptions, more people, more subtractions. Deductions, you can either take the standard or you can make a list. The government doesn't want you to make a list, so they make the standard deduction high. Now let me show you, give you an example to show you how big this standard versus itemized is. Now before I do that, let's do this. Take those three subtractions, adjustments, exemptions, and subtractions on your piece of paper, and draw a little arrow that connects all three of them. And underneath that little arrow that connects all three of those subtractions, I want you to write down this simple phrase. Taxable income. Taxable income. Taxable income. That's how much the government is going to look at when they decide how much tax you owe. I'm going to go back to deductions for a second, but let's make our notes really pretty. Now, right under taxable income, I want you to draw a really nice straight line, and underneath taxable income, I want you to write tax owed. Tax owed. We're done. Now, there are a couple other things I'm going to say about this, but we're done. Like I said, in 8 minutes, you got to do your tax. I guarantee you, if you Google a tax form after this call is over, and you look at every single line on the 3-page tax form, or you go to every single item on a TurboTax software, it will only deal with the 3 things I just talked about. Subtract an adjustment that's on the list, subtract an exemption because of the people you're responsible for, or subtract your deductions based on whether you're taking the standard or itemizing. Now hear me, back to these deductions. Let me prove to you that it works when the government gives a high standard deduction. I came in contact with a gentleman who knew how this worked. He understood this perfectly. And he did not itemize his deductions because he was afraid about whether he would be able to have enough itemized deductions to be higher than his standard. He thought he could, but he wasn't sure, so he just stayed away. He avoided it. He didn't do it. So every year I would say to this gentleman, look, just do it. Just itemize. Just go ahead and push through and itemize. He wouldn't do it. For 7 years, when I was in his presence, I would say to him, look, you need to itemize. He wouldn't do it. Finally, after 7 years, he finally took the initiative and he itemized. When this gentleman itemized his deductions, hear me, when he itemized his deductions were $17,000 higher than the standard. Did I say that for 7 years he was afraid to do it? You know what my favorite part of this example is? I am the gentleman. I was talking to myself. So when I finally got the courage to push through, just like some of you guests are feeling the exact same way about this opportunity. Once you push through, boom, that's when the value is there. Now, hear me. What you have at the bottom of your piece of paper is tax owed. We're done with the tax form. You know how to do your taxes. I'm going to say it again. Google a tax form and see that everything we've talked about is covered by every single line. Now watch this. You've got to take your tax owed and you've got to compare it to something called tax paid. So you have tax owed at the bottom of your piece of paper. Right next to it, so take a little space in between tax owed and what you're about to write. I want you to write down this simple phrase: tax paid. Tax owed, now write down tax paid. Now watch this. Take tax paid, draw a little arrow going up, and then I want you to write down paycheck. And then in parentheses, right next to paycheck, I want you to write a capital W and a 4. Your notes are done. All you need now is to understand this point that I'm about to make to you. If your tax owed is higher than your tax paid, then you owe the government. If your tax paid is higher than your tax owed, then you get a refund. Now, what determines what your tax paid is? Your tax paid is what you give to the government throughout the year based on what you put on your W-4. Now, before I tell you this, let me ask you a question. We're going to do a little participation. When you fill out your W-4, there's a box at the bottom, and you're supposed to put a number in that box. Don't try to outthink me. Don't try to overanalyze me. I just want to do a little psychological exercise to see where you are. At the bottom of that W-4, there's a little box, and you're supposed to put a number in that box. Listen to my question. I'm not asking you what you put in that box. I'm not asking you what you think you should put in that box. I'm asking you what you heard you're supposed to put in this box. Over your childhood and adult life, what have you heard you're supposed to put in that box? Now, I understand this is a muted Zoom call, but I still want you to go through this exercise. So I'm going to open up the chat. You're supposed to wait for me to ask it, but I want you to put At the same time, what you heard, I guess I didn't make that clear, Patty. That's on me, Fadia. So everybody else give the same. And you know what? Because of time, let's just go with her answer. She just put in the chat 0 or 1. I have been doing this exercise for 27 years. That's right, I started before I graduated. I've been making this tax point for 27 years. Every time I tell this story, every time I ask this question, someone always answers with 0 or 1. In fact, I've asked it probably 80% of the time and I only hear 0. Now hear me. This is the way it works. You can put whatever number you want in that box. You can put whatever number you want in that box between 0 and 10. You can put whatever number you want in that box between 0 and 10. This is not a conversation about what you should put. This is a conversation about the way the tax infrastructure is set up. We want to be our own bank. So to be our own bank, we need to understand the way the system works. You can put any number you want in between 0 and 10. If you put 10, they take less out of your check. If you put 0, they take more out of your check. Now, I did a psychological exercise with you before. I'll be finished at 10:35. Let me do one more. I want everybody to close your eyes. And even if I don't see you, I want you to close your eyes. We're going to go through a little psychological visualization exercise. Now, your eyes are closed, and you are in a downtown city of your choice. Big, tall buildings, beautiful night. You're going to your favorite event. Concert, play, opera, whatever you're into, you just went to your favorite event. You just got paid yesterday, so you got a pocket full of money or a purse full of money. Whatever you use to carry your money, you've got a lot of it, and it's in cash. So when you finish this event, you're on your way to go to your car, and you begin to think about how much your feet hurt, had a long day at work, and now you're on your way to your car, and you decide to take a shortcut. You decide to go through a dark alley so you can get to your car faster. Keep your eyes closed. As you're walking down this dark alley, an assailant jumps out. Ah! And the assailant has a gun. They point the gun at you and they say, "Give me your money." They rob you. They take your money away. You're standing in that dark alley, confused, afraid, and with a lot less money. Keep your eyes closed. A year and a half later, you get a letter from the robber. And the robber says, "My bad. Sorry I took your money. Here's your money back." Everybody open your eyes. Now, there are only a few people that I can actually see because most of us are muted video-wise. But the people that I can see, nobody's smiling. And the reason why nobody's smiling is because you're focusing on the fact that you got robbed instead of the fact that you got your money back. You are focusing on the fact that you got robbed instead of the fact that you got your money back. But how come? How come year after year, people that don't try to be their own bank rejoice and smile when they get their refund? When in reality, the same thing is happening. You're in the dark because you are told to put 0, so you just put 0. The two most dangerous words in economic empowerment, the two most dangerous words in economic empowerment are "I heard." It's time for us to figure these things out for ourselves. It's time for us to think through these processes and understand how they work. I'm not telling you what to put in that 0. I'm not telling you what to put in that box. What I'm telling you is the government is so smooth that they have now convinced you to put 0. So you put 0, they take all of your money and then they give it back to you in a year and a half and then you smile. Let me give you one more stat, and then I will have my seat. The amount of money that we give the government every year that could be in our pockets every paycheck, the amount of money that we give the government, if you put that money in a savings account, the interest on it would be $8 billion a year. It's time for us to be our own bank. It's time for us to be our own bank. Now, this does not affect our IML experience at all because we're 1099. So we don't even have this issue. But I want us to understand how this works because, again, when we start mastering this slice of the economic pie, we need to master all of them. So, questions, comments, testimonies.
You talking my language, Dr. Bythewood. You say they took your money. They take your money, and they make all that money out of it and don't even give you no interest off of it when they give you a refund back.
Preaching to the choir, sir. Preaching to the choir. So here's what I like to put out there. I talked about taxes big picture on purpose. And you may take this conversation and say, you know, I want to know more. So I'm going to actually do what he said. I'm going to open up my tax form. I'm going to go online and just look at a sample tax form, or I'm going to go into TurboTax and go through the questions. I'm just going to go look at it so I can learn a bit more how this process works. If you do that and you have more specific questions, come ask me on this call. But I guarantee you, any answer I give you will relate back to that big picture concept I gave you. All you have is 3 subtractions. And I didn't even talk about how you go from taxable income to tax. Oh, that's easy. You just look at a chart. Or if it's a TurboTax tells you what it is. So there's no real calculation here. It's just that it's set up for you and I not to understand it, give it to an accountant, and we put ourselves in a position where we don't take ownership for it. But now that we've made this decision to drastically increase our wealth and the wealth of our children, we need to understand how these financial and economic infrastructure work. That's my time. I appreciate everyone for listening, and I will now turn this call back over to our host or hostess.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Bythewood. Thank you so very much for the information that you gave us this evening. This has literally been phenomenal. You know, I know we've all had the question on how to do taxes. I know we've all had the question on what to do as far as our taxes are concerned, especially being business owners, especially from looking at it from that component. So I just want to thank you for your education, for your insight, and for what you share with us this evening. But what I want to do right now is I want to take the opportunity to share with you someone that I want to share with you someone that's the visionary behind the movement. We're talking about your taxes, but now I want to share with you how you can become your own bank. So this gentleman is the visionary behind the BYOB movement. He's 100% documented. He's a business owner himself, mortgage lending, commercial real estate, and published author. Over 20 years experience in direct sales. So let me turn this call over now to someone I have a tremendous amount of respect for, Mr. Gerald D. Rogers. Mr. Rogers, are you on the call?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can. The call is officially yours.
Wow, folks, I am just literally blown away of the level of expertise that we've been able to assemble with our leaders, our business partners. Kudos to each and every one of you, Pastor Isaac Bird, Dr. Craig Bythewood, and of course, Tasha M. Dyer. And folks that you on the call tonight, I mean, I'm literally lost for words. The information that Dr. Bythewood just shared with you this evening is really, truly worth the price of admission outside of everything that iMarket Live brings to the table. I mean, folks, think about it. You got someone who's literally pouring out their hearts, giving you their mind, giving you every aspect of improving your financial situation, not only short term, but long term. And that analogy, folks, is the reason why we are so adamant about our movement of teaching everyone that's in our sphere of influence to become our own bank. And, you know, it's often said there are three types of people in the world: those who are in the game, those who watch the game, and those who don't know the game is being played. And the luxury that you and I have of becoming a 1099 employee, not employee, a 1099 tax recipient, or becoming an investor is paramount, because that's the rules. So what should we be teaching? Why are we so adamant about this? Because we want to teach people how to play by the rules of the game. And so for so long, many of us simply have not been taught the rules, and the rules that we've taught have not been the proper rules. And now guess what? You are now in a position where it's just simply, you know, taking advantage of things that have been in existence around all of us. And I'm no different than any of you. You know, I am Gerald D. Rogers, and I've always wanted to do some extraordinary things for my family, for my friends, for my relatives, my neighbors. And when this vehicle was presented to me, I'm going to share it to you just like it was shared to me. A gentleman who's been documented, has tremendous amount of success in this industry, he gave me a phone call, and he asked me the craziest question on the planet, because it just really put me in a position of a stupor. And I'll be honest with you. And he asked me this question. So as you listen to this information, I'm going to pose that same question to you. He said, Gerald, over the last 10 years, out of all the money that has flowed through your bank account, how much has your bank paid you for using your own money? And I had to pause for a second. And when I thought about it, I was like, they have not paid me one dime. And then he said, Gerald, how does that make you feel? And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not really an emotional guy, but I got really emotional about that, because and that emotion was kind of anger. I was like, I'm too smart. You know, I'm the guy that's been in this space lending, and I understand numbers. I'm a money man. But then he said, well, Gerald, don't worry about it. Don't get too upset. He said, if there was a way that you could do exactly what the banks do and learn the skill how to multiply your own money, would you do it? And folks, absolutely. And it was a no-brainer. So I'm going to say that to you. If you are concerned about this information, the authenticity and the legitimacy of it, here's what I want you to understand. If you have a relationship with any financial institution, then you're already involved in what I'm about to share with you. We just want to put you on the right side of the equation. Hence what we're talking about. We're talking about, bear with me 1 second, let me just pull up a PowerPoint here. And I'm going to run through these slides really fast. I'm not going to even go into tremendous detail, because at the end of the day, folks, if you have a relationship with a financial institution, then they are taking advantage of all of us. And now we have an opportunity, as my dear friend Dr. Bythewood always says, I'm not anti-bank. I'm just pro your household. So what are we talking about? We're talking about the industry. We're talking about the foreign exchange market. We're talking about the power of trading. Folks, we're talking about, even right now, some of us in our financial institutions, our bank is closed. We don't have access to our money other than our ATM machine. But as our money is resting, as we're sleeping, banks, people around the world are trading currency. So that's a $5.3 trillion a day industry. We're talking about 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. And then we're simply talking about the cryptocurrency space. You know, add an additional $5 trillion a day to that. So we're talking about a total pool of upwards of $11 trillion that you and I have now have access to, and literally to become our own bank. And that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. How is that possible? Well, it's possible because being educated. And that's really what our Markets Live represents. You know, everything rises and falls on leadership. Our leadership team is impeccable. I would dare put up against any Fortune 100 company on the planet. You know, Christopher Terry, who's been in this space for 25 plus years, has been trading, featured on Fox Business News, CNBC, and literally could have hoarded this information and kept it to himself. But he put this platform together so that you and I, the average person, can have above average results. Isis Delatorre, who is our CFO, literally is dotting every I, crossing every T, to make sure and ensure that this vehicle, this platform is around for the long haul. Mr. Alex Morton, there is a direct sales component. We make no bones about it. Excited to be able to share that with people who choose to take advantage of that option. He's considered to be who's who on the 30, leading our direct sales expansion. And then Mr. Ivan Tapia, who's responsible for our Latin American expansion as well. And then in our team leadership, we got business partners collectively have put their energy together to synergize this movement. So we're doing that congruently to make sure that you, as our guest, you have the opportunity to win. So the foundation is laid. You're the number one industry, the number one vehicle, the number one leadership team, and we're just simply here to let you stand on our shoulders. But it all starts with you dive into our Marcus Live Academy. And it's no different. Think about it from this perspective. It's no different than you enrolling to your local community college, your state university, or a trade school. This information is specifically designed to teach you how to multiply your money and take full advantage of the markets, the foreign exchange market and the cryptocurrency market particularly. But this skill set is transferable. So once you learn this skill, it is applicable to all the financial markets. So we're talking about true financial literacy, and we're talking about true economic empowerment. So the lines are there, the education is there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week that you'll have access to, learn at your own pace. And then some people need visuals. Our Market Live TV coincides with that. So you get an opportunity to go into the market, see what the traders are doing, ask them questions, trade with them, generate profits with them, and then you become financially astute by becoming your own bank. So we're talking about the education through IML Academy, and we're talking about the visual impartation with our Market Live TV. And then we're not going to leave you there. We're going to give you the tools to execute and do exactly what the big banks of the world do. We're talking about the Morgan Stanleys of the world, the Merrill Lynch's of the world, the Goldman Sachs of the world. And it all starts with one of our tools, a harmonic scanner. A harmonic scanner is simply designed to scan the market, showing you identifying patterns. And here's how this works. The scanner scans the market, gives you and I opportunities, currency pairs, where to put our take profit, where to put our stop loss. And guess what? They've done all the heavy lifting for us, identifying the patterns. You and I take advantage of it, and we become profitable. Up to 92% accuracy rate. Absolutely amazing. So the harmonic scanner is one of those tools. And then we have the web analyzer. The web analyzer is another tool based on algorithms, different trade strategies, different trade styles, depending upon what your personality trait is. You'll be able to, once again, get trade setups. It's going to give you take profit, stop loss. And guess what? At your fingertips. This tool is also designed to analyze all the markets right at your fingertips. So we're just simply talking about putting you and I in a position that you can become your own bank and do exactly what the banks do with your money and learn how to multiply your money for yourself. And then our swing trades, our 9-hour sessions. The CEO of our company still meets, greets, teaches us how to do exactly what he does 25 plus years. So the benefit of that is he's literally shortened our learning curve. And what's amazing about this is how often in your current situation at your place of employment has the CEO of your company put you in a position where you can generate the same amount or even more based on him sharing all of his expertise and experience with you. That's what makes this vehicle so paramount and why you would want to engage and be involved immediately. And then we have a tool, Swipe Trades. This is the app you'll be able to download. What this does, our expert traders have done all the heavy lifting for you once again. All you have to do is be able to simply copy and paste. For those of you who have that compact schedule, it still puts you in a position that you become instantly profitable because, once again, if you can copy and paste the information into your broker account, guess what? You get the benefit of all the swipe trades. And this is specifically for the foreign exchange market. And then our swipe coins. This is, once again, an app. They do all the heavy lifting for you. You copy and paste, put it into your broker account, and this is specifically for the cryptocurrency market. So in the midst of you learning the skill, learning how to analyze it for yourself, we also put you in a position to become instantly profitable because you're going to receive signals on a day-to-day basis, multiple signals. So everything that I just shared with you, folks, the investment is just simply amazing. You're talking about your initial investment of $250. And then I recommend that you take advantage of all the tools that we have in place. So you're talking about anywhere from $250 a month to have access to all this information. So what does that really mean for you? Folks, you're talking about $8.33 a day to enter, to learn, to have a forum like you're experiencing this evening, and then have not only the IML Academy teach you, but then have a business partners guide you through this process and teach you how the right mindset and things of that nature, the right coaching, the right mentoring. So folks, that's the value far exceeds your personal investment. And then we've made it simple and easy. This is a university platform. You know, we're always making referrals. Our company says, as a customer, if you know that this information makes sense, you identify two individuals who simply want to become their own bank. You introduce them to, and we're going to show you and teach you how to do all of this, right? Then they're going to waive your monthly access fee. So, folks, we're talking about creating a win-win situation for our friends, neighbors, and relatives. And then everything that I'm about to share with you is optional, okay? It's optional, but I want you to understand this, particularly tonight. And for those of you who will get an opportunity to hear this recording, you got to understand this. Based on what Dr. Bythewood shared with you about the tax structure, this is why you want to and need to become an independent business owner, so you can maximize the tax structure and take advantage of the rules. And by becoming an independent business owner, it's going to allow you to do that. But this is how, from a residual standpoint, you're able to capture your referral every time you make a referral by sharing and exposing people to this information on how they can become their own bank. For an additional $15 investment, this allows you to participate in referrals. Now, you're probably asking, is it one of those things? Is it a pyramid? Is it network marketing? Hey, guess what, folks? Everybody on this line, you're involved in the industry of network marketing because you're always making referrals to your friends, your neighbors, and your relatives. I mean, people, you know, you talk about the movie you went to. You talk about the restaurant. You talk about wearing Nike. You talk about wearing Adidas. You talk about carrying Michael Kors purses. Guess what? Every time you carry that purse, every time you wear those shoes, you are creating profit for those entities, and they're not sharing that profit with you. Flip side of that is, our Marcus Live says, if you tell anyone about how they can become their own bank and dive into our IML Academy, we're going to reward you. And that happens on a weekly basis. Those bonuses are anywhere from $5 to $35, depending upon how you engage in the process. So every time you want to pay a raise, teach somebody how to become their own bank. Folks, these are one-time payouts, but it become extremely lucrative. There's no limit on how many people that you can share this information with, and that's the beauty of understanding how to share and make referrals. And then I want to bring you closely to the last couple of minutes of the importance of residual income. Now, by doing that, you become what we call a Platinum 150. That simply means you help 3 individuals who have decided that they want to become their own bank. You're now what we call a Platinum 150. That simply means you're now receiving a residual income of $150 a month, an extra $37.50 a week. So you're probably saying, well, that's not much. But let me help you understand. We're talking about being our own banks. Do you realize that in order for you to have a residual income of $150, you would need personally in your savings account in excess of $110,000? So pause and let that simmer in for a second. How well are you on that path right now that you can have a residual income of $150 in your personal bank account right now with that $110,000? So that's 3. And then duplication. We're going to teach you how to show your customers how to get their website waived. And then that's going to happen because this information is too powerful for you to keep it to yourself. And then you become what we call a Platinum 600. Folks, simple and easy. That means you've accumulated 12 customers. You can do that as an individual or you can do that as a team. It doesn't matter. When it happens, our company is going to send you an additional, listen to me, $600 a month, an extra $150 a week. Now, because I'm a numbers man, I want to pause and help you understand the magnitude of the residual income of $600 a month. Do you realize right now, personally, that in order for you to have a residual income of $600 a month, you personally would need to have an excess in your savings account and an extra $580,000 a month of residual income? Yes. Now, once again, How well are you on that path to have a residual income of $600 a month? It's simple and easy. With this, you just simply say this information with your friend, neighbors, and relatives, accumulate 12, and we're going to reward you an additional $600 a month. And then platinum 1,000. That simply means that 12 is growing to 30, right? That 12 is growing to 30. We're going to show you how to do this. We're going to show you how to invite people out to forums like this. We're going to speak on your behalf, and you get the benefit. And then guess what happens? That's an extra $1,000 a month, an extra $250 a week, an extra $12,000 a year. And then guess what? That does not include your trading income. And then we're talking about creating win-win situations. So that means you can utilize the residual income to fund your trading account. But once again, in order for you to have a residual income of $1,000 a month, folks, do you realize that you would personally need to have an access into your savings account this moment, an extra $980,000 to have a residual income of $1,000 a month. Now, once again, where are you at on that path? That's why you want to become your own bank. That's why you want to learn this skill. That's why you want to be in a position where someone is coaching and mentoring you and teaching you how to multiply your income. And then guess what, folks? We are simply going to show you how to become a chairman 10. That means you've accumulated 500 customers over a period of time. That period of time could take you 90 days. It could take you 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, whatever the case may be. When that happens, our company is going to reward you an additional $10,000 a month. And that has nothing to do with your trading. That's just pure residual income, an extra $2,500 a week. So once again, my question to you is, based on what you're currently doing, one, will you ever have the opportunity to do that? Two, no matter what level of education you have, degree, postgraduate, super graduate, whatever the case may be, in most cases, the average person will never find themselves in a position where they're generating an extra $10,000 a month of residual income by simply exposing people to this quality of information. So folks, we're excited about this. We're excited about the movement. It's happening. And the only thing that is missing is you. One, every time we share this information, there's always 3 types of listeners. Number 1 type person says, you know what? This just makes sense. I have a relationship with my financial institution. They are going to continue to use my money the way they want to. I need to get the maximum benefit from it. So if you are that number 1 type person, simply get back with the individual that invited you out tonight, and they'll be able to take you through the next step in the process. And then there's the number 2 type person. So I got a couple of questions, but at the end of the day, I couldn't talk myself out of this if I wanted to, because once again, I have a relationship with my financial institution, and they are taking my money, and I'm not getting the maximum benefit from it. I need to learn this skill so I can change the financial trajectory of my family and teach my family this so I can shift the economic instability in my household and in my community. So if you are that number 2 type person, immediately follow this call. Get back with the person that invited you out, and they'll be able to take you through the next step in the process. And then there's the number 3 type person. Says, you know what, Mr. Rogers, you could have stopped talking like 15 minutes ago. I'm ready to get started. I want to be a part of this movement. I want to absorb all of this information, and I definitely want to become our own bank. So folks, if you are number 1, number 2, or number 3, get back with the person that invited you out, and they'll be able to take you through the next step in the process. So with that being said, folks, thank you. I'm going to turn this call back up to our host, and they'll be able to provide you some additional information.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Rogers. As you can see, everyone, this is literally why the time is now for you to become your own bank. BYOB, the movement. And tomorrow, 12 noon, we have a lunch and learn, same link. You all have a wonderful evening. Immediately following this call, get back with the person that invited you out. Let them know what your number is. Let them know if you're a 1, if you're a 2, if you are a 3. And you all have a wonderful evening. God bless. And this will officially conclude this call.